Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to tonight's 30-minute growth session where we are focusing on effective communication, building stronger connections. I am so excited to have back with me today on our Wednesday night session, Dr. Nisa Jenkins. How are you?
Hey, Dr. Campbell, doing well. Glad to be back with you. It is always a pleasure to serve with you. So, looking forward to our talk tonight.
Awesome. Hey, Dr. Jenkins, because you haven't been on in a couple of weeks. So tell everybody about I Am Beautiful Too.
Wow. So, I Am Beautiful Too is, of course, a women's organization, and we cater to the whole woman in terms of helping women and creating platforms, shall I say, for women to share their voice, their vision, their dreams, their hopes. Sometimes we have a lot of things within us, that we want the opportunity to share with others in various platforms. It may be through talk, it may be through book, it may be through dance, song, whatever it may be. We create that platform and allow women to share their voice, their dreams, their visions, their hopes. It's just things that we have inside of us, because when God made woman, he made such an incredible creation, and we have so many things going on with us. So not only do we do women's conferences, we also do scholarships for young ladies that are in college as well, and just really trying to continue our outreach efforts.
I love it. The one thing that really just resonated with me was when you talked about having a voice.
Hmm.
I think in personal settings and professional settings, there are lots of individuals that have lost their voice.
Yes, Lisa.
And I
Yes.
think when you lose your voice, that really hurts your confidence. It really puts you in a holding pattern, if you will, from the perspective of being able to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's, really one of my prayers that, and if anybody knows me, they know that if I got something to say, I'm going to say it. And I think it's, sometimes I don't say it, but most times I do. But I
Hmm.
think one of the reasons why my voice is so loud and powerful is I have a 31-year-old child who doesn't have a voice. And
Yes.
so I'm her voice. And for a long time, I struggled with my voice from the perspective of, trying to figure out just how to navigate life as a single mother,
Yeah.
raising a special needs child alone. She didn't come with a user's manual. So I was like figuring things out. And so once I gained my voice,
Hmm.
I have not looked back.
Yeah. 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 And as you talk about, when women lose their voice, there's also the other extreme of that, and that is not ever having a voice. Having so much inside of you, and never having the means or the conduits to allow you the opportunity for whatever reason. Sometimes we just get lost in raising our children, in a career path, maybe a career path that we're not as happy in, and we don't have the opportunity to share our creativity through our voice and other means of our gifting. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm right there with you. You speak for Jasmine, and what a powerful thing to be able to have the power to do that and know that it is your responsibility. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have people that we should be speaking up for, but we don't realize that it's our responsibility. She is yours. She belongs to you. She's your gift from God. So taking that effort and then using it as your power source is amazing to me. That's always an amazing topic. I love Jasmine, and I know how much you love her. So yes, I get that down in my soul.
So, our topic tonight is about communication. And last night I was teaching this graduate class on campus. And we were talking about the four generations of individuals that are in the workforce today, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so we started talking about how you have to communicate with individuals differently to some extent depending on, what generation they're a part of. And so when we started talking about that, they were like, you know what, yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And this morning, someone called me because they want me to provide some services. And so we had sent a series of 3 emails. And that last email, I was like, hey, just give me a call because a lot of times words can get lost in translation when you're in the written format. And
Yeah.
so sometimes just a phone call will really answer questions that you may have, and it just makes a world of difference. So she was like, "Thank you so much for wanting to take the phone call." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, anybody that knows me, let me just say this. Uh, Even though I pick up this phone, I'm okay with um not having a text message, not having an email, but just having a nice warm conversation is just it just I love it. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Dr. Campbell. I am still, that phone still means a little bit to me. I like texting, but not uh over text. I just can't do it. Like consistently texting somebody back and forth kind of gets on my nerves a little bit, but I still love a good phone conversation. Yes.
And you know what? Maybe that's because we grew up in a time where we didn't have all of this fancy technology, right? So
Right.
I was in my class last night, which was some graduate students. There were 3 different generations there, and I was in a different generation than everybody else. I was the oldest, which was, kind of interesting at the young, tender age of 50.
Yeah.
But I started talking about how in the hospital, we used to have to page doctors, right? We have to
Mhm,
page
mhm.
them, wait for them to call us back. And then I also talked about when I was in high school, I had that brick phone that was in a bag. So
Yeah.
technology has evolved, but nothing beats a phone conversation, a face to face conversation. I think to some extent, younger generations are missing out on those nice, warm conversations.
Yeah.
Because with a text message, you can't see the other person. With an email, you can't see the other person. And
Mhm.
because we're always on the go so much, I think that it's easier to type something real fast and then be like, I really shouldn't have said that. Whereas on a phone conversation or face to face, there's that back and forth dialogue that allows for that rich conversation.
Yes, yeah, and those verbal cues that are also in the conversation. I hosted a workshop a couple weeks ago, and I introed it by saying, "Have you ever walked away from a conversation or hung up a phone, and from what started out as an A/B conversation, and you had to look around and see what was actually happening, or maybe you sent an email and the perception of the person reading it was totally off track, right?" So um, we've all had those conversations and wondered what part of the communication broke down, and you said to yourself, "That was not what I meant at all." So I think that that's what happens when we um, don't communicate verbally or face to face, even face to face, because sometimes verbally, depending upon what's going on in our lives, our voices may be elevated. And let me just say this: I had a great conversation with someone about, sometimes our voices get elevated, and certainly they do in communication. And that person just explained to me is that sometimes people take it as, oh, she got angry because she got louder, or he got angry. But what the person said to me is sometimes it is just our passion about something that comes through our voice. And it can't be delivered at a low tone because you won't know what it means to me. And I was like, wow, that's really a great way to look at it, because oftentimes we think people are angry, but we need to be sometimes face to face or over the phone, and then being able to use those verbal cues and assess what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I love to read, right? So I have like 30 books lined up over here that are in queue for me to read. It's like every day I think I pick up a new book. And there's this author, I'll have to look for her name, but she's an African American woman. I'm pretty sure she's a young woman, but she wrote a book that said, "I'm not screaming."
Mhm, mhm.
And I think that culturally, we have different ways of expressing ourselves.
Yes.
And the one of the tenets of emotional intelligence is about relationship, right? And so with relationship management, learning how others interact,
Mhm.
sometimes you don't understand that the way someone answers a question could be a direct result of what they've experienced in life.
Yes.
And so we have to learn how to accept each other where
Yes.
we are
Yes, Dr. Campbell.
and support each other in growth, whatever that growth pattern should be, right?
Yes.
Because everybody's is different.
Yes, I agree.
And I think about men versus women.
Mhm.
Sometimes my husband and I are having a conversation, and I'll say something, and he'll say something, and we essentially said the same thing, but the way that we are expressing ourselves is different. And if we don't realize, oh, that's what she really meant, or that's what he really meant, it immediately turns into this argument, right? And
Yes.
so sometimes taking that pregnant pause to
Yes.
allow that person to get their words out, but then allowing yourself to digest what they're saying because sometimes you react not really realizing, oh, that's really what they meant.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I know one thing that we were sharing in the last workshop that I hosted was, sometimes we'll have that moment where we can step back, breathe a little bit, digest as you mentioned, just kind of trying to process things. And it's okay to take that time to even say, if you're going to communicate effectively, sometimes I have to say to myself, okay, let me not answer right now. I need to really think it through. I need to understand what's going on. I need to get my emotions in check, not be led by my emotions, and then respond. And sometimes that can be 24 to 48 hours later, and maybe it's just a matter of because we're communicating effectively. That's what we're talking about. And, I think that you have to maybe even be able to say to someone, hey, let me get back to you. Give me a little bit of time. I need to think it through. And I think that that is okay. But so many times we're so quick to respond and then we don't get a chance to really process and maybe we process it incorrectly or our emotions get involved and we don't give ourselves enough time to get our response together. But I think it's important to take that time to breathe. Let me process. I'll get back to you in a little bit.
And sometimes you respond because you're tired or
Yes.
mixed up with something else and your response is not really the response you would have given. So, one of the
Yes.
things that I am really working on building these atomic habits, building healthy habits is I'm having cutoff time as it relates to my devices, right?
Mhm.
So, not sleeping in the room with the devices, having a cutoff time for emails, right? So, emails come through immediately after the person sends it, but that doesn't mean that you need to respond to it immediately. You got to
Right.
give yourself some time to just um, build stronger connections by pulling yourself away from that device.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And that's one of the areas I'm working on is just, looking at those emails and if just picking out some times where I'm going to respond because I'm one of those people. If I see the email, I'm going to respond right away. And, I got my rankings of people that I'm going to respond to right away. But I do need to learn how to just step back. Let me look at that email a little bit later or maybe the next morning if it's getting later into the evening. But my goal is to definitely respond within 24 hours, but I definitely want to take the time and not feel like I got to do it urgently. Because sometimes when we do things urgently, I know I can mistype a word or oh, I didn't mean to say that, or oh, I left out a T, because my mind is going quicker than I'm typing. So yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And I
Uh,
think we have to accept that we're not microwaves. We're humans,
mm,
right? So
yeah.
everything doesn't have to be immediate. And I will tell you for me, having that cutoff time from emails, being on that computer really is helping me have a stronger connection with myself.
Yes. And that's
Because
important.
I think oftentimes we can't support those that we serve
Mhm.
until we take care of us first.
Yes. Now that is the truth. We are so busy, catering everybody else, and we have a need. We have um issues and things that we need to deal with, and that is okay. We're going to have those. I think that those issues and trials come to make us better people, to be more experienced, more empathetic, but we got to take the time out for ourselves, and which is another area that I'm working on. I'm not ashamed to say just taking care of me, and that being okay without, and sometimes I can tell when I'm not doing it, because I may need to take time out to get a massage, and look back and it's been months since I've had one, and that means that I'm really not taking care of me, and I'm not doing it just because it's a luxury. I'm doing it because I'm so tense from stress that I need a little extra laying on of hands, shall I say. So yeah, I agree 100%. We need to take care of ourselves. Self-care is so important, and I know that's a buzzword now, but that is a matter of fact.
And again, if you don't take care of you,
Yeah.
it's difficult for you to take care of those that you're responsible for. And I think about, as I'm getting older, my parents are getting older. I have so many people that rely on me. I want to be the best version of me. Somebody typed in the chat that, like, oh my gosh, you're the person that does the YouTube videos, right? But
Yes.
when I'm on those YouTube videos and I'm so excited about coding, I got to take care of myself so that when I make the videos, which I need to make some more videos, I got to really figure out how to schedule those videos. But I enjoy, look, I don't like doing coding, but I enjoy teaching the future generation of
Yeah.
coders because I want them to love it as much as I do, but I want them to do it. And I work with the doctors, helping them improve their documentation so that the coders can actually code.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you're so good at it too. I think that's important, for people to know what it takes to do to communicate all of that. It's not something that you just wake up in the morning and do. You got to schedule, you got to get your content together, you got to deliver it, and all of that's communication, and effectively communicated, rightfully so, as we can see in the chat. So I think that's important to take care of yourself so that you can do those things and do it well as you do.
Now, Dr. Jenkins, what would you say to that person who has lost their way? They don't think that they're beautiful too. What would you say as a first step that they would need to do to help themselves get back on track?
Wow, that's it's going to vary from one person to the next, but I definitely would say one of the main things and major things that you can do in your life is just take time to sit down, to breathe, to let yourself off the hook for those things that you really had no control over, and perhaps there was some efforts on our parts, I don't know, but we got to let ourselves off the hook, and we got to start over again, begin again. Every morning we should look to begin again, and not really worry about what happened yesterday, and we look at it and say, what can I do better? How can I take care of myself better, and so that I can be better for others, no matter who they are. And then the other piece is to start to learn who you are. What are those things you enjoy in life? What makes you happy? Ask yourself those questions. We might have to ask ourselves every day, because there's going to be different things that make us happy. What made me feel joy today? What made me feel good about me? And finding out what those things are, so that we can surround ourselves, so that we can saturate ourselves in those things, so that we can be the best person that we can be. Because I think when we do the alternative of that, and we're bogging ourselves down, we don't really know what makes us happy. We don't really know what our goals are. We don't really know who we really are, in terms of what's inside of me. What's my purpose? When we don't really know that, we get bogged down, because people will come and dump things on us and give us more and more and more. But we aren't really satisfied, because we are not taking that time to get to really know us, so that we can be our best self. So that's one part of that I would say um, someone who's going through that situation should do.
And I think the other thing is just to give yourself that grace and just tell yourself, I'm not the only person that's gone through this. I
Yeah.
won't be the last person. And just give yourself grace to slowly step through whatever path you need to step down to move forward. Sometimes it's hard to move forward.
Yeah, it is. It is. And as you're moving forward, say to yourself, what are the lessons that I'm learning here? For me, that's a principle for me, is that I always want to be learning, whether I'm making the right choice or the wrong, right? I want to be able to say, okay, what am I learning from this? Or what did I learn? And then use those as growth spurts, right? With the growth motivator. So, I definitely want to use this as those as opportunities to grow. And then what can learning is perpetual. So I'm going to say to myself, okay, yeah, I learned that, but what else can I learn? Or I got to do a little research because I want to know a little bit more about what I should be learning. And so we should be learning continuously, consistently, in those efforts about ourselves, about what we experience and what that experience means to us. And I want to just say this, is that every experience that we feel is meaningful, no matter what, it is our experience, right? So we can't let someone minimize our experiences that we have. We have to hold on to them, explore them, let them grow, let them explode, because I want to know what that experience is going to do for me. I'm learning from my own experiences. So I just think it's important to say, every experience in everyone's life is important, and don't let anyone minimize your experience.
And I also think it's important for us to understand that not every experience is should be labeled as bad.
Right.
Everything that you experience in life is meant to help you grow.
Yes.
And it allows you to help others, right? When I think about being a young mother, 19 years old, having a baby that couldn't walk, couldn't talk, I realized that that experience was designed. First of all, she was given to me because God knew I could handle it, right? But
Yes.
also that experience that I walked through with her, that I continue to walk through with her, makes me stronger and stronger. But then it also has allowed me to become the growth motivator, right? Where
Yes.
I'm able to motivate others in any space that I walk into.
Yes.
But the concept of that perpetual learning is
Mhm.
something that some people don't realize is key. I was at a meeting last Saturday and I was just kind of, laid back on the break and just taking a moment to pause. I was digesting the information that I just heard. And some people are on the go so much that
Mhm.
they don't really take the time to learn, and you should be learning faster than you're growing. So when you get to the place, you're ready. But if
Yeah.
you don't continue to learn, that growth is going to be slower. You'll still grow, but it's going to be slower.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, we don't have to focus so much on how fast it's going. Just know that we are growing, right? We got to believe that we are growing. Every situation, every experience is the opportunity for growth, no matter what we're doing. So we got to just believe that we are growing, that we're changing, that we're moving forward. Um, and so I think that's important to know as well.
Now, what about, so we got like 5 minutes left. I like to make this for 30 minutes. So we're talking about building stronger connections.
Mhm.
And some people want to know, well, what do I have to do to build stronger connections? And I'm just going to tell you, for me, it's about being open to having the connections, right? But
Yes.
then also to have that discernment and recognize that not all connections are good connections,
Mhm.
but you have to be open to meeting new people, networking, you know, we're going to a conference next week. So saying hello to people when you see them in the hallway, meeting someone new. Hey, what do you do? Right? Really building your network. Professionally, I have relationships with people that are in lots of states across the US that I
Mhm.
can pick up my phone and call them, ask a question, ask for support for something. But I continue to build those relationships, and it's not always transactional.
Right.
Sometimes relationships that I am involved in, I'm helping them transform to the next place that they want to go to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that, Dr. Campbell. I think all connections are opportunities for learning, right? And like you said, some are transactional, some are not, but I do think that we learn, right? I'm just big on that. I guess it must be the stage that I'm in my life. But as we meet new people, it can just be a brief conversation. What did I learn? Wow, she communicated well. Wow, she made good eye contact. I'm just trying to watch all the dynamics going on as people engage. If they are, doing more of a presentation, I'm trying to learn how can I utilize what I'm seeing, right? So I think that's important. And sometimes those connections are, you may say hello to someone, but think about this, that you may be the only person that said hello all day long, or that gave them any eye contact that said, hey, I matter, I'm important. So I think it's just important that we wake up our best self, because there's so many people who are in need of what we have inside of us. And so I don't want to miss that opportunity. And I want to be learning from those connections that are being made.
And also being open to learning. I'm a part, of different organizations, and people don't believe this. I could be in a meeting with others and not say a word. And
Yeah.
that's because I'm, first of all, trying to figure out everybody, watching their body language and listening to the dialogue. And of course, I'm coming up with, oh, that'll be a great topic to talk about on my show, right? But always be in learner mode
Hmm.
instead
Hmm.
of judger mode. It
Yeah,
will
that's
carry
a good point.
you a long way. But
Yeah.
then again, let me just say, everybody who you are connected with, they may not mean you any good. And you got to recognize when it's time to walk away
Yeah.
peacefully to keep yourself, intact.
Yeah, yeah, I love the way you said that, and when I think about judge mode, just including myself, I think sometimes we're judging when we really don't even realize that we're judging. We don't want to call it that, but I try to make a conscious effort to be aware of the fact that that was a judgmental statement, right? So that I can let my hair down. Okay, you don't have to have an opinion about everything. You do not have to. So I think that's important. And even as we communicate, right? Because we're communicating verbally, non-verbally, we're listening. There are many conduits which we communicate through. So I just think it's important to relax and not have to judge everything that we see.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you said something that was powerful because I think that today, October 4th, 2023, at 6:29 p.m. Central Time, I am the most relaxed that I've been in probably a few years.
Mhm.
And that's because right now I'm in what they call the messy middle, where I am very close to the things that I've been working hard for.
Yes.
And that messy middle is a little rough, right? Because I'm like, oh, let me just go back into my comfort zone. But as I'm transitioning and climbing higher and higher, it's scary, but it feels so good. And I am at peace. I never thought that I would be going out of the country and doing multiple speaking engagements, right? Like I spoke in Abu Dhabi in 2018, I think it was, but I'm going to Barbados, right? So I'm building these stronger connections based on my ability to effectively communicate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just so important. These are just a few. I know we're wrapping up here, but some key reasons why communication is so vital. right? As we're number one, building those relationships, expressing our thoughts and ideas, resolving conflict, which would be a great topic in itself. Sharing information, our professional success, these are reasons why we should communicate. Effective collaboration, innovation, and creativity. Come on out of here. Come on out of me. I want to share this. I want to let you know what's really inside of me. Personal growth, right? Cultural understanding. If we communicate, we get a chance to understand culturally what's important to someone else, why they do the things they do, as well as social interaction. It's healthy to communicate and to have social interaction. There are times when we, have to shut away and go, go alone and be by ourselves. But we need that social interaction. It is very healthy, and I think it is evident due to COVID-19 how we felt when we couldn't go everywhere we wanted to. We couldn't visit the people we needed to visit. So I think everybody can get that now. But effective leadership, right? Got to be able to communicate and as an effective leader. And then healthcare and well-being, right? So if we're communicating, I get a chance to let you know how I'm doing. You get a chance to ask me some questions about myself. We get a chance to dialogue. This month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I believe. And so, those kinds of things we need to communicate to people, because there's somebody out there who may have some issues and need to hear that information so they can go in and get themselves checked out. So, it's just a whole gamut of things related to our effective communication. And I think it's just so important that we share, that we talk, that we have those conversations, those crucial conversations that will make the difference.
Also, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well. So get the girls checked out. That is so important. I always go in November, after the Mad Rush, because everybody likes to go in October because it's on their calendar. But
Yeah.
also, it is Domestic Violence Month. And, for those that are struggling with that area, reach out to the domestic violence hotlines and just don't suffer in silence.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Jenkins, I know you have the I Am Beautiful Too ministries. How can folks find I Am Beautiful Too?
They can find me at www.iambeautiful2, two is TOO, ministry.org. And all of my contact information, my email addresses are on there as well. But yeah, check out the website. Got some great stuff on there. Just did some updates and things like that. So yeah, reach out to me, give me a shout.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this evening. Thank you to our listening and viewing audience. Who,
Yes.
we got some faithful folks that come every Wednesday night, and I love it because I want you all to grow. Where we are today should not be where we are a year from now. Is
Yeah.
it going to be exactly where we want? Maybe, maybe not, but keep moving to that step, to that place, and trust me. When you get in the messy middle where I am right now, and then you cross over, you are going to be so grateful to yourself that you allowed yourself the grace to keep on moving in spite of.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right, Dr. Jenkins, thank you so much for joining. And thank you all for coming out tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.